Welcome to Lab Tech 6 training. Today's lesson is how to read a standard ruler. At the top of the page is a 6-inch pocket ruler that is commonly used by mechanics and machinists. What you will learn today also applies to standard 12-inch rulers, yardsticks, tape measures, and anything else that uses the standard ruler format. All materials contained in this video are copyrighted 2025, unless otherwise noted. Let's get started. Looking at the ruler above, there are a lot of different size marks that seem to be in a random pattern. Actually, the pattern is exactly the same between each set of numbered whole inch marks. Since the pattern is the same between all the whole inch marks, the next slides will zoom in on one set of whole inch marks. This slide zooms in on the area between the 3-inch and 4-inch marks. Now it should be easier to see that there are only 4 different size marks between the inch marks. In this slide the marks between the 3-inch and 4-inch marks have been removed. The marks will be replaced one size at a time using color-coded marks and reminder notes. Let's get started replacing the marks. To show a starting point, an arrow is placed above the 3-inch mark. Also, a large green mark is placed below the arrow. The large green number 2 below the ruler is a reminder that the space between the inch marks is being divided into 2 equal size steps and that the green marks are the largest marks used between the inch marks. Next, a large green mark with a 1 above it is placed halfway between the 3 and 4-inch marks. Another green mark with a 2 above it is placed at the 4-inch mark. To make room above the ruler for our next set of marks, the 1 above the green mark in the middle will be moved to under the green mark. Also, the 2 above the 4-inch mark is removed. Let's review. The arrow above the 3-inch mark is our starting point. The 1 below the middle green mark is our reminder that the green mark is the first step on the way to the 4-inch mark. The green 2 below the ruler reminds us that the green marks show 2 equal size steps between the inch marks and are the largest marks between the inch marks. The starting point for the 4 equal size steps is a yellow mark that is placed below the arrow on the 3-inch mark. This mark is also on top of the green starting point mark. The yellow mark is not quite as large as the green mark. A yellow number 4 reminder is located below the ruler and the large green number 2 reminder. It is a reminder that the space between the inch marks is being divided into 4 equal size steps and that the yellow marks are the next to the largest marks used between the inch marks. The yellow step 1 mark is placed halfway between the 3-inch mark and the green step 1 mark. The yellow step 2 mark is placed exactly on top of the green step 1 mark. The yellow step 3 mark is placed halfway between the yellow step 2 mark and the 4-inch mark. The yellow step 4 mark is placed exactly on top of the 4-inch mark. To get ready for our next set of equal size steps, the 1 above the yellow step 1 mark is moved down to below the mark. The 2 above the yellow step 2 mark is removed and is not needed at the bottom of the green step 1 mark. The 3 above the yellow step 3 mark is moved down to below the mark. The 4 above the yellow step 4 mark is removed since it is not needed for the 4-inch mark. Did you notice that only the odd numbers are moved below the marks and the even numbers are removed since they are not needed? The starting point for the 8 equal size steps is a red mark that is placed below the arrow on the 3-inch mark. This mark is also on top of the green and yellow starting point marks. The red mark is smaller than the yellow and green marks. A red number 8 reminder is located below the ruler and the yellow number 4 reminder. The red step 1 mark is placed halfway between the 3-inch mark and the yellow step 1 mark. The red step 2 mark is placed exactly on the yellow step 1 mark. The red step 3 mark is placed halfway between the red step 2 mark and the green step 1 mark. The red step 4 mark is placed exactly on the green step 1 mark. The red step 5 mark is placed halfway between the green step 1 mark and the yellow step 3 mark. The red step 6 mark is placed exactly on the yellow step 3 mark. The red step 7 mark is placed halfway between the red step 6 mark and the 4-inch mark. The red step 8 mark is placed exactly on the 4-inch mark. Again, the area above the ruler needs the numbers removed to allow the next set of equal-sized marks to be numbered. The 1 moves to the bottom of the red step 1 mark. The 2 is removed because the red step 2 mark is exactly on top of the yellow step 1 mark. The 3 moves to the bottom of the red step 3 mark. The 4 is removed because the red step 4 mark is exactly on top of the green step 1 mark. The 5 moves to the bottom of the red step 5 mark. The 6 is removed because the red step 6 mark is exactly on top of the yellow step 3 mark. The 7 moves to the bottom of the red step 7 mark. The 8 is removed because the red step 8 mark is exactly on top of the 4-inch mark. Again, only the odd numbers are moved below their marks and the even numbers are removed since they are not needed. The starting point for the 16 equal size steps is a blue mark that is placed below the arrow on the 3-inch mark. This mark is also on top of the green, yellow, and red starting point marks. The blue mark is smaller than the red, yellow, and green marks. A blue number 16 reminder is located below the ruler and the red number 8 reminder. It is a reminder that the space between the inch marks is being divided into 16 equal size steps and that the blue marks are the smallest marks used between the inch marks. The blue step 1 mark is placed halfway between the 3-inch mark and the red step 1 mark. The blue step 2 mark is placed exactly on the red step 1 mark. From this point on, the blue marks will be added one at a time without an individual explanation. They will follow a pattern of 2 repeating steps. First, a blue mark being placed halfway between the last blue mark and the next red mark. Second, a blue mark being placed directly on the next red mark. At this point, the numbers above the ruler will be moved or deleted one at a time. The odd numbers will be moved below their blue marks. The even numbers will be removed since they are not needed. This is what your first reminder sheet will look like. In the next few slides the colors and numbers will be added one set at a time. Pause the video as needed to color in your reminder sheet. If you prefer different colors, feel free to use the ones you would like. Just make sure the step colors on the ruler match the colors of the reminder numbers below the ruler. Once you have your reminder sheet colored in, continue playing the video and several examples will be shown on how to use the reminder sheet. From this point on, the arrow at the top of the ruler will be used to indicate the measurement we want to determine. It will be moved to other locations above the ruler. For now, it will remain directly above the 3-inch mark. This measurement would be exactly 3 inches. It would be written as shown below with the 3 followed by the abbreviation marks for inches. The arrow has now been moved to directly above the 4-inch mark. This measurement would be written as shown below with the 4 followed by the abbreviation marks for inches. When the arrow is moved to a location somewhere between the whole inch marks, we need to answer 3 simple questions about the measurement. Each answer will give us a number needed for our measurement. Question 1 is how many whole inches are needed for our measurement? Question 2 is what size steps are needed for our measurement? Question 3 is how many steps are needed for our measurement? The answers to our 3 questions will be written down in the layout shown below. Q1 will be replaced by the number determined in question 1. Q2 will be replaced by the number determined in question 2. And Q3 will be replaced by the number determined in question 3. The answer for question 1 will be the smaller of the whole inch marks that our measurement is in between. Since the arrow is in between the 3 and 4 inch marks, the number 3 will be the answer for question 1. Replace Q1 with the number 3. The answer for question 2 is determined by the size and color of the mark. The arrow is above the largest mark between the inch marks, and the bottom color of the mark is green. If you look at the big green number 2 reminder note below the ruler, it will verify the green color code, the 2 equal-sized steps, and the largest marks. That makes the answer for question 2, the number 2. Replace Q2 with the number 2. Since there is only one large green mark between the 3 and 4 inch marks, that makes the answer to question 3, the number 1. Also, the 1, located just below the green mark, verifies that the answer to question 3 is the number 1. Replace Q3 with the number 1. This completes our measurement of 3 1/2 inches. Question 1. How many whole inches are needed for our measurement? The measurement is between 3 and 4 inches. 3 is the smaller number, so the answer to question 1 is the number 3. Replace Q1 with the number 3. Question 2 is what size steps are needed for our measurement? The arrow is above one of the next to largest marks between the inch marks, and the bottom color of the mark is yellow. If you look at the yellow number 4 reminder note below the ruler, it will verify the yellow color code, the 4 equal-sized steps, and the next to largest marks. That makes the answer for question 2, the number 4. Replace Q2 with the number 4. Question 3 is how many steps are needed for our measurement? The arrow is above the yellow mark that has a 3 just below the yellow mark. This makes the answer to question 3, the number 3. You can verify this answer by starting at the 3-inch mark and counting the 3 yellow steps while moving towards the 4-inch mark. Replace Q3 with the number 3. This completes our measurement of 3 3/4 inches. Question 1. How many whole inches are needed for our measurement? The measurement is between 3 and 4 inches. 3 is the smaller number, so the answer to question 1 is the number 3. Replace Q1 with the number 3. Question 2 is what size steps are needed for our measurement? The arrow is above one of the next to smallest marks between the inch marks, and the bottom color of the mark is red. If you look at the red number 8 reminder note below the ruler, it will verify the red color code, the 8 equal-sized steps, and the next to smallest marks. That makes the answer for question 2, the number 8. Replace Q2 with the number 8. Question 3 is how many steps are needed for our measurement? The arrow is above the red mark that has a 5 just below the red mark. This makes the answer to question 3, the number 5. You can verify this answer by starting at the 3-inch mark and counting the 5 red steps while moving towards the 4-inch mark. Replace Q3 with the number 5. This completes our measurement of 3 5/8 inches. Question 1. How many whole inches are needed for our measurement? The measurement is between 3 and 4 inches. 3 is the smaller number, so the answer to question 1 is the number 3. Replace Q1 with the number 3. Question 2 is what size steps are needed for our measurement? The arrow is above one of the smallest marks between the inch marks, and the color of the mark is blue. If you look at the blue number 16 reminder note below the ruler, it will verify the blue color code, the 16 equal-sized steps, and the smallest marks. That makes the answer for question 2, the number 16. Replace Q2 with the number 16. Question 3 is how many steps are needed for our measurement? The arrow is above the blue mark that has a 7 just below the blue mark. This makes the answer to question 3, the number 7. You can verify this answer by starting at the 3-inch mark and counting the 7 blue steps while moving towards the 4-inch mark. Replace Q3 with the number 7. This completes our measurement of 3 7/16 inches.